some thousand meters away from the Henge location, is a known Riese location. It was dedicated, or suggested dedicated, to the SS and Heinrich Himmler. We're going to go through it today with Mr. Jones and see what we can see in here. Not a whole lot of cement was founded here, but it's interesting to see the general layout as we see it today and have some interesting conversations about the area.
So we're back in Poland and the Project Riese sites, and this is the last of the big tunnels we haven't been into. And Mr. Jones, finally we got to meet up and go underground together, and he's going to show us what was there.
That's what I've meant by a drainage system. It's like concreted, it's not only the sand, and there's a lot of drainage constructions on this mountain. Way more than the tunnels, I think. We are now almost on the top of the mountain that's called Gontova or Sokolec. There are two different names for that. And this complex was included in the Riese complex. It's a part of it, but this part is specific because of two factors. First factor, it's the furthest away from all of the cluster of the another complexes because they are relatively close to each other. And this one, it's kind of more further away. And the second one, all of them were dug in a gneiss rock, which is the hard and dark rock. And this rock is a sand rock, a sandstone, which is totally different rock. It's softer, and I don't know if it played a factor when they were looking for a place to dig a tunnel like that, or it was not playing the factor. But it's interesting because this stone is softer, so you can actually sometimes stick your finger inside the wall, which is interesting and not interesting when you are inside of the tunnel.
And there used to be two airlocks here. There's four entrances.
There used to be, they dug tunnel for two airlocks. On each entrance, after like 50 meters, there were supposed to be airlocks. Or not even the airlocks. I would not call it the airlocks. I think it was just a place for a guy to sit to control who's getting in and out. Something like that, yeah. And the other entrance, we can actually walk to that before we get in to see the other entrance, because I think it's like 50 meters to this side. Also has those airlocks. There used to be two more entrances. They are a little bit lower and going to a slightly different direction. One of them is totally collapsed, and the second one was rented by the private person, and he hired some miners, and they started to dig through the collapses. Because there were some stories from the Second World War telling that the people who came there after the war, they were walking in when the Russians left, and they've been walking like 2 kilometers long straight tunnel underground, which is kind of a fishy, because what I know from my own experience, when you walk underground, you lose your points of orientation. So to measure a distance by your own, it's always going to be going in a bigger number than it actually is.
Oh yeah, this is very close.
So this is the second entrance, and we are actually going to see this entrance from the another side. She's going to be the only one who will be able to reach it because of the water level.
Ah.
Yes, and let's maybe take a closer look. Yeah, so this part is flooded because the rocks that are actually eroding, they are making some kind of embankment here, and the water is not getting out. But this level used to be the road level.
Yeah. So you could literally just build a drain and drain the water if you wanted to.
Yes, but it's not that much, and also the water level is varying between the seasons. Now there is a little bit more water than it used to be last time when I was there 6 months ago.
Was this a wet winter?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I just have this computer to check how much oxygen do we have in air. It's not because it's going to be dangerous, but I just want to show you that how the oxygen level is going to change when we are going to be very, very deep in.
It's very interesting that it's interesting how our priorities are different. I have a Geiger counter because I want to find a nuclear bomb, and you give a damn about what kind of oxygen we have. Like anybody cares about oxygen.
So, as you can see, a completely different rock. It's going to also look nicer in the movie because it's reflecting the light a little bit more than the dark rocks. And you see that's a sand rock. So, like I said,
Yeah.
it's eroded. You can just stick your finger. Those are some from the glacier times because you see the rocks are being ground. There are layers going this direction, and you see that on the what's the name of it, on the vein or the connection places, it's actually going to, the tunnel is collapsing a little bit, so it's not that stable as it's here now. But what's also worth to show, basically like that,
Oh,
it's
yes.
just some geological stuff, it was not made by humans.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the prisoners who were working here didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, they had some different problems.
It's very strange about the underground, because I never really thought of myself as this being something I wanted to do. But you spend a lot of time underground, so you know this. It gets so peaceful.
Yeah, that's
so
why I'm
nice.
spending so much time. Nobody will call me, with some offer. There's no Facebook notifications and stuff like that. Everything seems to move to the background or to the somewhere further away.
I know, it's always nice and quiet. And
There you can see the remaining of the drilling holes. They were also using explosives in those tunnels.
yes, they were. That's actually strange, because sandstone is so easy to drill that why would you even need to blow it?
Maybe they were not blowing it, they were just using jackhammers, because it's not only the jackhammer. This one is wood. That's a wood, and there was a pipe with the air.
Yeah.
Either the air for them to breathe or the air to the machine.
Yeah, they had the wood dowels on. But this is.
But this rock, it's still, look, you see, it's not that hard. So this one you can actually use, you can dig it using the wood. But you are going to move to a different rock.
This is how you chose to spend your holiday.
Didn't tell me that was in the plan.
I thought I did.
Well, you could have been a little bit more detailed.
I did say, do you want to spend your holiday underground?
Yeah, but do you remember where we spent the last holiday underground? With pavements and nice stuff and bunk beds.
No, I don't remember that. Oh yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
That's the kind of underground I was in.
Well, that's France. We'll get to that.
Well, if I'm here with a group, I always prank them in the spot. Oh no, it's collapsed. Sorry guys, you have to go back. But this collapse is there since at least 1992.
Yeah, this is fairly solid.
Yes, and it's still moving, I would say.
Right.
That's why maybe don't be too loud and don't touch the ceiling when we are passing the spot. But this is this airlock, like you called it.
Yeah.
There was a tunnel going right and left, and there were parallel tunnels on the sides, and they were rejoining like 50 meters.
Is that cement?
No. But because on the crossroads of the tunnels, the ceiling is the weakest, so it's collapsing the most. And this is the reason why.
But there's no cement in it. They didn't cement.
No,
any
there
of
is
this?
only like
Concrete,
5 kilos of concrete on the back of the tunnel, on the last tunnel. Besides that, there is not even a single part of concrete in both tunnels.
So they really weren't finished here at all.
No, they were already started.
Yeah. All right. Oh, cool.
So that's what I mean with fresh rock collapses. All you can see here is fresh.
Yeah.
It's freshly collapsed, and it's going to collapse further. And this part looks even worse. Also, everything here is fresh.
Yeah.
And I'm being there since 5 years, like every 6 months, and I have never seen so many fresh collapses one time. But our path is clear. As you can see, no fresh rocks. That's why we're using this path. Because there is a connection in the geological layers between them, and
that's why it is.
the reason it's collapsing.
Yeah.
I mean collapsing, to be very specific, it's not like collapsing completely, just a piece of rock that falls down and it's lifting the bottom a little bit. So
Yeah, it's stuff that you could theoretically clear out if you wanted to turn it into a thing.
oh, those are the way. This is the airlock tunnel, the second part of it. So at the beginning you could get in, and this is where you get out, and this is how it looks on a map. It looks very nice and planned and sharp, and here it looks like cave.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice when you see the maps from the war of what they say was supposed to be. It looks so nice and clean. And then when you get inside,
Don't eat the mushrooms.
yeah, oh, you'll see there's a lot of interesting plants and strange things in these places.
And if you eat the mushrooms, there are going to even be more.
And the mushrooms grow in the dark, so they grow in different directions. Because they're not chasing light. Well, yeah.
There is one interesting. Can you hear me on the camera, or am I too far away?
No, I hear you.
I mean the camera, not you. You can hear me, I know. But I'm also aware that you are recording, and I don't want to talk and then be too silent in recording.
No, I hear you. Camera hears you.
So there is a theory that explains that maybe the reason why it's not next to other complexes of undergrounds, it's because they wanted to produce the ammunition here, explosives, and also it may be connected with the rock that they choose, because in this part, if something will explode, this rock will actually absorb the hit.
Yeah.
It will not like make an implosion. It will just absorb it, so it's not going to make so many damages. And maybe it's connected, maybe not. I'm just telling that there is such a theory.
Yeah.
Everybody can take it on.
And it's interesting because at the time where they built this would have been 43, 44. I mean, they already had experimented with test tunnels in Gusen out by Linz. Because they started, before they built the big Bergkristall tunnels, Hitler insisted they built test tunnels in sandstone and put explosives on top to see if it would last. And they did that, 42, 43. So they knew how durable sandstone would hold from an exterior blast.
That's interesting. And
I was in them, they're very interesting actually.
there you can see another crossroads, and also connected with those layers. And as you can see, everything is fresh. The rock is different. You cannot touch it. You cannot dig it with your fingers anymore. Yeah. And what's interesting, those pine leaves, I would say, somebody was marking his road, I think, with those, because you may find more of them.
Yeah, they're not growing anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't see where it would come from. Okay.
Oh wow, that's actually a drill. That's not the wood, it's actually a drill.
Whoa.
Or at least something because it's deformated here, so somebody was hitting it with a hammer.
Can you tell what age this is? This is a drill.
This is a drill?
That is a drill.
But why is it like it looks like somebody was hitting it?
I think it got stuck, and they tried to hit it to loosen it to pull it out.
Okay.
You see the knob? That's where it would lock in.
Yeah, but also the question, why were they digging in this direction when this tunnel is actually pretty straight and there's nothing on this side? So why you need
to drill that way? Yeah.
Maybe.
Why would you? Unless they wanted to make it a lot bigger.
And also there you can still see chisel markings from 1933, I think. So it was not like they were exploding it; they were just using the normal jackhammer.
Yeah.
When the rock was softer, because on this rock, which is harder, you don't see such marks.
So maybe that's why they wanted to expand them, and there was sandstone inside here. The sandstone was gone, and they run into the hard rock. Is this nice? Nice?
No, no. I cannot name the rock, but I don't think it is that.
somebody's been building.
Yeah, I don't see the point. Totally.
Hold the water.
This is a nice place. It looks like there's a big mine in Great Britain, or something like that, but way bigger in a big chamber, very deep underground, and it's called Dragon's Eye. And that's like our Polish version of a Dragon's Eye. It's yet again crossroads. It collapsed, but it didn't collapse that much because if it would be everything, you would see a big pile of it.
Yeah.
So it was actually collapsing as they were digging it and they were removing it. But this is why I asked you to wear a helmet.
I already checked the helmet, it works.
Why? Oh, did you hit your head on the roof?
This is my hair. Okay.
And there you can see how we can distinguish an old rock from a new collapse. This one is covered with some mud or whatsoever. This one is still fresh. And
There's 2, 3, 4 different types of rock here.
yeah, but I mean the collapses because
Oh, yeah.
as a guide, you know, I always walk first and then check how do the walls look like so that we don't get in a place where we're not going to get away from. And I'm always paying a lot of attention to stuff like that.
Well, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
So, hang on.
So this is
Hang on.
the main room. The reason why they wanted to dig this whole complex. It's not finished. It was supposed to be wider, I mean in this part, and also like straight, big production, how to say it, the warehouse, or no, the what's the name of it?
Production hall.
Hall. Yeah, that's exactly the word I've been missing. Yeah, and they were digging it using 2 levels, I think.
Yes.
And then they just collapsed the middle one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's also a nice rock. Right from the top. There are also some people who are coming here and leaving the candles, you know, to
Yeah.
the memory of the people who died during the war and those complexes. Sometimes you can even find this happens very rarely.
Yeah, I see that quite a bit.
I've also seen here some weird places. It looks like a place where some nasty stuff was happening because it looks like the kind of a church, but the black church, I would say. They made like a table, the main table in the church, and some cross, but it was upside down. So
Yeah, you see some really strange.
yes.
I know. Yeah, I remember. And you always have a lot of people. They'll do the weird rituals and weird stuff, and then that's what makes the news. Not about what took place here or what happened here, but about all the crazy people who came in after.
You're about to see the only piece of the concrete in this done. That's also fresh. I even have pictures without from the last year.
Yeah, that did a little movement.
So in this corner I found this weird stuff. But now it's destroyed. And also there you can see the only piece of the concrete.
Really?
I think it was dug there in the corner. What for? Why? I don't know. It looks like the foundation for something, for some, I don't know, supporting.
Yeah,
pillars.
maybe that was the intention to support it upwards.
Yeah, but you also with the ground itself. It's also like a concrete when it's compressed. So.
This is concrete, isn't it? Yes.
What's that? Is that stone?
No,
Is it grey?
no, that's a stone.
That's a stone. Well, at least the wood is original.
Yes. And you are about to see the original rails.
Oh, they have the rails from here.
Just one small part. That's a fresh one. Yeah, we'll probably use it on our way out.
Yeah, that one's closed. Was this an exit?
No, we will
Just-
also use it. We will be in a parallel tunnel behind the wall.
I wonder if they knew when they started this how many different types of rock they would find inside.
I don't think they care. Because it's like, yeah, regardless to the slave systems and so, but they were just checking if the rock is able to actually sustain the tunnel with it. And if it worked, then they were just sending the guys who were digging the tunnel, because as you can see, they didn't care that much.
No.
They could make the tunnel maybe, I don't know, 2 meters before, and then they would not hit this part that's actually making so many collapses. And they didn't
Yeah.
care. They just had a plan that was supposed to be made, and that's all.
But usually, I mean, they also had to think about it had to be a sustainable place to work if they
Yes,
actually got
but
to finish.
don't forget it was supposed to be concreted in.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the second one. Here.
I mean, it's not that they were pretty good at the planning about this.
Yeah. But you can see in some of the complexes, I think even in this one, no, it's not, it was the other one that you saw, that they were digging from different sides, and when the tunnels met, actually, it was like 1 meter, maybe half meter of a difference. So it's still very close, because when you are digging underground, how the hell you are supposed to know on which how high you are?
Yeah.
And only half a meter on such a big distance, it's a very big achievement, I would say. Especially that the guys who are digging it are not the guys who are doing it with a passion, that they're very starving, hungry guys
Yeah.
who are just trying to make it through another day, so they were not that as motivated.
Yeah, I see the rails. I see the rail. With
Marks, but
yeah, the rail
still no
mark, yeah.
wings. You will see them soon.
This is actually a pretty big hall
Yes.
for a relatively small tunnel. Actually, this is fairly big for what it was. And they had
I don't
double.
know what was this construction for. We call it the noose, like from the hangman, you know, where you
Yeah.
hang people, because it looks like that, but it's obviously too small. And I also remember the times when it was still standing somewhere here.
I would lend a suggestion that what this might have been would have been one of the braces in the smaller tunnels that made it out here.
It's too big. It was too small.
It's
They
too
were
small?
not such small tunnels. The tunnels are 2 meters high and 3 meters wide. Now you can translate it to your units.
But we don't know how big this was.
But it was standing like something like that.
And the dowels for the, and you see the little screw, and there was a cable or a pipe or something that they're still running electricity into these as well. Just a single, or air pipes, air vents for the hammers.
Or maybe just to elevate yourself and dig the tunnel and so. So that's the second place where nasty stuff happens.
Huh.
what you can see here, look. This part also has a, now I mixed it, but this part also has this concreted
Square.
block, yeah?
There would have been a square block in there as well. That's interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, what for? I cannot imagine the point of doing that.
Unless there would have been, you know how architects, they put in an anchor point. So this is this coordinate, exactly where you are, north, south, these many meters. If they placed these rocks, but then there would be markings on the cement. Or even a little disc in there saying this is where you are.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean, right?
But I wouldn't expect that here. And if they were leaving some marks, they were leaving them on the wall.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be covered. It may fall off, but I don't think they were done.
And it's almost too soon in the construction to put a marker. But you know those German and Austrian engineers, they had strange ideas. It's perfectly square. It's a perfectly square hole. That's really weird. Is there wood lining this thing?
Yes,
There is wood lining this thing. Huh.
Yet another fresh collapse. Come here, please. That's the only piece of the rail that's still standing here.
I'm coming.
I'm used to GoPro with auto and everything.
I do have a stabilizer on this, but it's not good enough that I can't. I mean, it's broadcast quality just, but I gotta be nice to it.
So after the war, I think everything was left as it was, and it was the steel parts were taken either by locals or by the Soviets.
Yeah.
But this part was left here because it already collapsed and it was not movable. But what's interesting here, it's
Is this the metal? This is a metal plank.
That's not the rock. That's not the wood. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them in the what we refer to as the ME262 trench. There's the metal. There's still a couple of cross beams left from there, but that also means that either it was collapsed or it was blown up. If this happened right at the end of the war, it may have been. I don't know.
But this blowing up this section makes no sense because you can get to the other side with a different tunnel that's not blown up.
So this is how conspiracies start.
Yes.
Well, we blew up something, and there's a cross tunnel in here that we can't see. Yeah, these are metal.
We will be getting through it on the way back.
Ah. Is
You have to be really unlucky, you know, because it's not like it's happening slowly. It's like one drop and then so it's only a fraction of a second. And for you to be in this underground, in this specific spot, in this second, it's very unlikely. But I managed to move some rocks and accidentally let them fall from a big altitude. And yeah, it was a cold sweat on my back.
Yeah.
interessant at se. Så er der også i mange af de her, er der også små fossiler og sådan nogle ting. Det er faktisk ganske hyggeligt. Jeg tror, min mor, hun ville da elske det her. Måske ikke lige det her, men altså. Hold det bare stille. A lot of wood around here.
They must have known that this part is somehow unstable. Actually, they saw it because they are digging right through this transformation zone. You remember Dragon of the Eye? That's exactly the same like.
Did you ever go? Did you ever go exploring in England or?
No, not yet. I already have like 2 or 3 invitations, but
Yeah.
it's still about to come.
Yeah, England is not getting closer, is it? It's getting kind of further away.
Yeah. So this place, historically, it doesn't matter because I have no story to that, but it just looks nice. And you can experience underground rain here.
Underground rain.
And yet again,
Little plant, yeah. De er også. Yeah, this is a fun to navigate. Well, because now you get what I'm saying as well. So is this a wooden board or is this metal too?
wooden board.
Yeah. Okay, this is literally slippery when wet.
In case somebody's wondering, those are not the roots from the surface. It's the fungus that's living there, and those parts are called rhizomorph. And this is like the string of this fungus. And if it finds something to eat, it will reactivate, but it can stay in this state for years. Very interesting.
There really is a lot of interesting
Stuff about fungus.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting stuff that lives in these caves underground. Frog?
Not frog, insects. Please, before
I see.
You see the white insects, they are living in this water.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There is one that's very active. I have never noticed it before. Oh, you see?
Yeah.
It's actually not swimming, it's walking on
It's a larva.
It looks like that, yeah.
Yeah. call them Hitler's mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Is this the other end of the big?
Yes, exactly. At the end of this tunnel, you will see the second entrance. At the end of this tunnel, you will see the second entrance.
Yeah, this is. Well, so that's the question about the Sorbonne.
Yeah.
How well developed was that? Because there's rumors that there's more tunnels underneath than we can see or get to.
They actually even made a dig.
They did, didn't they?
It's already buried again. But all you can find in this tunnel was just a very rough building state.
Construction materials and crap.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing concreted and so on. What's funny about Sobo in this place, it's not just a mountain. That's the mountain that's some people say it's haunted, and they have been saying it's on also before the Second World War. They like the witches gatherings. They allegedly they used to happen at the top of this mountain. And I also always enjoy this mountain. Like I don't want to go there in the night because I don't feel comfortable.
Really?
And during the day, the fog is always coming so suddenly. You know, it's like I don't know. I sense something more in this mountain. That's why it's a very tricky place for me to go. I mean, I can go there. It's not like I'm afraid, but I feel just something different.
You know, that's one of the questions I get a lot from people when we chat and they see our videos. Is there a place? What is the people they ask? What is the creepiest place you've been to? And I don't think I've been to one yet.
Yes.
The only really creepy place I've been to wasn't really creepy. It was the A1 tunnel in Germany.
Yeah.
It's a perfect rail tunnel, but so they sealed off one of the tunnels for Himmler's factories, but next to it, like 5 meters on the other side of the rock, is an active railroad. So when you're inside the tunnel,
You hear the train.
and the train comes,
Just like in the catacombs. We actually were sleeping last 2 nights in catacombs underneath the Paris, right next to the underground station. So every 3 minutes I heard braking and moving and the rail movement.
and you can also feel, because of the holes, you can feel the air from the
Yes.
train coming through the tunnel you're in.
Okay.
That gets a little creepy.
Yeah.
You have to get used to that. But
So,
this is
here
going to
you
be.
can see the second entrance.
All right, I'm going to go and you're going to go right after me so you can fall on me.
But coming back to your question, how developed was the Sorbonne? It's a good question because yet again, what's on the surface, it's not fitting to what's underground. On the surface, you can see a lot of constructions, rails, some maybe concrete places.
The bunker?
And the bunkers,
bunkers.
the buildings, and everything. And underground, you just see one straight tunnel and then another one which is connecting it.
Yes.
And maybe the third one which was supposed to join, but not more. And
There's a lot of infrastructure upstairs compared to what you actually find downstairs.
it's going to get a little bit deeper. I think she's the only one who's actually able to reach the second end, if it's worked.
I mean, it is what it is. Right.
What's funny, because we are now on the top of the mountain, and that's actually a mountain site, it's possible to receive a phone call here. Because it happened to us once. Just before the collapse, we are walking and then we hear a phone ringing. And then a friend of mine said, you know that you actually reached me underground?
I don't have a sound on my phone. Yeah, you can see the drilling, the points of where they were either drilling or going to blast.
Yes, but it's way bigger. Look at this hole here. That's I saw it also somewhere. Look at this hole here and at this hole. It's like a different school.
Could it have been a natural cavity?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, does it?
No.
This is too solid of a rock for that.
Yeah.
So there would have been 2 railroads, one in and one out here, wouldn't there? Big enough for too many
In
rails.
this tunnel, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, the ground outside, this would have been lower.
Yeah. I mean, it has to go because of the drainage, like every underground system, when there's an entrance
1 or 2 degrees.
Yeah. 1 degree on each 100 meters. This is at least how they did it in Oslo.
I think that's what they did everywhere.
That's the minimum, 1%.
Yeah. So if we hadn't screwed up the openings, this would still work, the drainage. I mean, that really is the problem with the Project Riese, is
you can only assume.
You can only assume what you can't see, because everything you can see is not ready.
Yeah.
There's nothing here. Under the castle, yes, is the most
finished. Yeah. And this is the airlock, like this tunnel here.
You would have the guard.
I mean, it's not the airlock, but that's the way you called it. That was probably for the guards too. But also because of the tunnel, the way it goes, it maybe there's something with this airlock. Because then if you block this wall, then you have the typical steps in a construction, like in an air raid shelter. It also cannot be straight. It has to be, with the side or the trench.
It would be interesting to see the actual construction plans as they were finished, as what they were planning on this going to be at the end.
Og så folk de kommer i mange af de her tunneller, så er der jo så en pil, så folk de kan finde rundt. Det er jo så meget venligt, dem der gør det.
Ja, altså jeg vil sige respekt. Jeg vil også være ked af at være lost her. Jeg vil aldrig have taget hen alene.
Formodentlig ikke, nej.
Eller uden guide. Nå, så skulle man have styr på sit korteri inde.
Well, at least there's a bit of the original wood. At least there's that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of books that have been written that has been labeled. There's a lot of who the hell is this now? There's one of the guys, one of the old Nazis. He wrote a book. It was a sci-fi book, but
Walter von Braun and his book about Mars colonization or space colonization with a guy whose name is Elon.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that wrote fiction books, but they seem really, really real.
Yeah.
And everything that in them is something you can sort of imagine it happening for real. But it's a way that Ian Fleming as well. This is usually how spies they write books.
Huh?
They call it science fiction. Then they write their memoirs and say it's science fiction, but it all happened. That's how they get away with it. Because if they write their memoirs and they were in the Secret Service or something, they get in big trouble.
See the light. I got the laser. Henge laser.
That is a fungus, isn't it?
Yeah. The white one.
That's pretty. It looks like
You know, maybe we can do a historical documentary competition where we have 10 people have to navigate with one hand with a camera and then run through a cave.
Yes, exactly.
It's a little Monty Python. This is where you don't see the people from Discovery Channel.
Yes.
Ooh, it's
Oh, this is, you were asking if it's the entrance or stuff like that.
oh, this is the other side of that, yeah.
Ah, I forgot about. It didn't change, 20.9.
Oh, we're still breathing.
Yeah.
what is the level?
Normal, like on the outside. The lowest level I survived was like 16, 15, and it was not difficult. It was just you had to breathe. It costed you a little bit more energy to breathe in.
So how
But
does
it was okay. But I heard the story about the guy, and that's the only person on the planet who was saved by a cigarette. This guy survived 6% of the oxygen.
What?
Yes. So this looks like as follows. A group of friends of mine that are exploring old mines from like 16th, 17th, 18th century. And if you are for a longer time in an area where the oxygen is lower, like 16, 15, 14%, your brain starts to work slower and you are tend to make a mistake.
Yeah.
It can be like you are standing in front of the door handle and you are figuring out what is there supposed to be done now with it so that I can open the doors. It's completely normal when you don't have enough oxygen.
Yeah.
And they have been exploring in mine. Those guys were then 45 plus, I think. They were exploring a coal mine with 12% of the oxygen. It took them like 3 hours. They were already adjusted. They were walking around. And then they found the shaft. And they found the shaft. And normally, first you take your oxygen computer to lower it down to see how many oxygen is there, because in the shaft it's the lowest point. And then you let the person go. And in this case, they made a mistake. They let first the person go. They sent the guy like 4 meters lower, and then he just became gray, and they removed him. Yeah? And this guy was smoking, very heavy smoking, like one big package of Marlboro cigarettes, you know, the longer ones, a day at least. And the whole way to the outside, he was mentioning, no, I want to smoke a cigarette, but it's a coal mine, so you don't smoke cigarettes. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, they took him out. He took one long Marlboro cigarette, and he actually inhaled it fast in one time. Almost in one time, and then they came back to this shaft to check how much oxygen was there, and they have it on the video. I can even show you the part. And they lowered the oxygen stuff, and it was 6.5 or stuff like that. And it's only because of this guy smoking so many cigarettes, and his body doesn't require that much oxygen.
He's used to not absorbing that much oxygen.
Exactly. Don't you find those tunnels a little bit too low to be concreted in?
These?
Yeah.
Yes. I do. I would think that they're so far away from being ready, because they would have to open them up.
Yeah, because if you put a little bit of a concrete, then you will have to walk like that.
Yeah. No, this would have to be. Maybe they wanted to leave these in the wall until you get inside, and inside you do the chambers, because they open up bigger. Maybe.
I also heard in a hypothesis somewhere that the entrance portals were supposed to be raw, because then you can build underground, close the entrances, and you can sit there forever.
Yeah. I mean, that was always the theory with Riese, is that the big cemented finished portions are hiding behind raw tunnels. But if you look at the use of cement for Riese,
Construction, yeah, he
Yeah.
actually mentioned in his diary, I think.
it is huge.
Yeah.
So we're still back to where the hell did that all go?
Well, there is still a lot. There was still a lot of concrete cement laying in the forest.
Yeah, I know.
After the war, it was collected by the locals.
But that's the question, and it doesn't state from the papers in Berlin if this was cement used or cement sent here. I think it reads as this was cement poured, not cement just sent here. But it's hard to say. Yeah.
For me, this was one of the more fun explorations of the Riese tunnel system. It's interesting when it's incomplete, as we see it here, gives us free range of imagination of how much bigger it was supposed to be. Next time, we're going to one of the more misunderstood and lesser known Riese locations, however, with some of the largest above ground strengthened buildings. It was suggested for the army. However, there's a lot of question marks about that location, and the tunnels remain somewhat unexplored, and some very interesting structures seems to litter the location there that I can't wait to show you, and remembering it is on the Witch's Mountain.
Behind me is Vanna von Braun's first test stand. Down the road is Dietmar's nuclear reactor. Over there is the Maginot Line and all its amazing forts. I'm visiting them all and I'm bringing them to you. So I really appreciate you like, follow, and share what I'm doing, trying to document all these important historical locations. And if you feel like you want to watch more pictures or documents that I use for these, go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out with my travels, because gasoline and travel and airfare is expensive, my PayPal is there, protectionserviceinc.com. You are more than welcome, but you don't have to. I appreciate all your support and all your help, and I love seeing these locations, and I love bringing them to you.